Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Jess the MD. Thank you so much for joining me. I am dealing with getting over a little bit of a cold, and so you will see me sniffling and maybe even sneezing during this episode. Sorry for the watery eyes that will inevitably happen. Today we are getting into an episode of Scrubs, Season 4, Episode 12, My Best Moment. Let's jump right in.
Kelso's got this new stupid outreach program where families are allowed to observe surgeries. Yesterday I had to do a bypass on this guy. You should have seen that family. Standing there motionless, silently judging me. And today I gotta do a colectomy on that guy.
It seems kind of wrong to have family observing surgeries. First of all, most of family members don't actually know what's going on in surgery. So you're just seeing blood and guts and depending, of course, on whatever the surgery is. I'm not a surgeon, but I imagine that a surgeon might not want the added pressure of having the family members kind of standing over them, breathing down their neck, for lack of a better way to put it. It just seems like it would be a little bit more added stress than is necessary and may lead to worse outcomes because the surgeon is not as calm and relaxed as they otherwise might be.
Oh my God, I was supposed to be downstairs 10 minutes ago to talk to a bunch of pre-med students about what it's like to be a doctor.
Oh, don't worry, I got you.
What was your best moment in medicine?
I'd say my best moment was probably my second year, New Year's Eve. A young pregnant woman could barely make it in the hospital. She had her baby right there on the ramp.
I know that's my first grandchild. Did you deliver him?
No, I didn't. But I did watch. And I am a doctor. And you look amazing. So even though Dr. Mickhead actually delivered the kid, yours truly rang in the new year with Grandma.
Those kind of deliveries that happen just like in the hospital parking lot or in the car, I imagine that for the patient that can be incredibly terrifying. I remember being pregnant with both of my kids and just hoping and praying that I would not be the person that delivered super quickly on the highway, in the car. Ooh, that just sounds incredibly terrifying. For the doctors, however, it's actually not that crazy to deliver a baby kind of like anywhere. We get the training of how to deliver a baby, and we should be able to deliver them in any position, anywhere. I will add that I am family medicine trained, and so we do a lot of OBGYN training. JD is internal medicine, and so they don't do quite as much OBGYN. Now, what was my best moment in medicine? My best moment in medicine, I think, was actually not in the hospital or in the clinic. It was actually over Facebook, if you can believe it. So an acquaintance friend of mine posted about her daughter who had been having ongoing fevers for like over a week and had various other symptoms. And long story short, she had written up this whole timeline of what had happened. And I was like, hey, that sounds a little bit like Kawasaki disease. Here's what I think you should do. Please go to the ER and just ask them to evaluate her for this. And ultimately, it actually ended up being Kawasaki disease, and I definitely felt really proud of myself.
I'll tell you what my best moment in medicine was.
Damn it, we lost him. Call it.
I'm not giving up on this guy. Prop his hand up.
What?
I said prop his hand up!
The Todd for the win! Oh my gosh. His high five, I imagine, can probably restart anybody's heart. That is a significant amount of force.
That's right. The Miracle 5.
You take this one, Barry. Great moment there, dumbass. It starts out with a profound misunderstanding of how the human body works and winds up with you shattering some old man's hand.
Oh yeah.
Was it the pain that restarted his heart? Y'all, you know I'm joking. That is not a thing. You can't restart someone's heart by giving them a high five.
I've just been so tired lately. Yesterday when the little man and I were wrestling, he dropped me in 10 seconds.
I got him with a power kick.
Hey, you bought Tyler a new ice cream cone.
Sure.
Aww.
Thanks.
It's a waffle cone. So, Mr. Milligan, it turns out you have a pretty serious case of mono.
Don't you get that from kissing?
Fun fact, when I got mono in college, I 100% flashed back to JD's memory of how he got mono. It's interesting. I've actually been seeing mono go around a lot lately. I've had a lot of patients with mono, and it's kind of surprising because yes, it is much more of a younger person disease. It happens a lot more in college, and it really is considered the kissing disease. Mono, otherwise known as infectious mononucleosis, usually caused by EBV, Epstein-Barr virus. It is this viral infection that causes a sore throat, a high fever, and just feeling incredibly fatigued, and it lasts for several weeks. I will tell you that when I had mono, that was the absolute worst that I ever felt, and I would not wish it on anybody. It sucks. You're so tired. You have so little energy. I remember sleeping for like 16, 17 hours a day, and then when I was awake, I was just in bed. So as a patient, oof, it sucks. Usually treatment is pretty much supportive care, fluids, rest. Mono usually resolves on its own. There are sometimes complications, but usually it goes away on its own.
Am I gonna get out of here in time for Christmas? Tyler's mom isn't around anymore, and I'd really hate to ship him off to his grandparents.
You'll beat Santa home, I promise.
People don't necessarily usually need to be hospitalized for mono. There are always outlier cases where people get really, really sick and really do need the supportive care in the hospital. But for the most part, mono is an illness that you can recover from at home.
Nobody. You never promise a patient that they're going to be fine.
Mr. Milligan? His blood pressure's a little low. He just has mono.
Oh, for God's sakes, Newbie, take a look around, would you please? Since I'm not in the mood to make some big, dramatic, sweeping statement, I'll just tell you this. God hates doctors, he truly does. You see all these old people in here? Well, any of them would give just about anything to be able to sashay off this planet, but most of them are gonna stay, and they're gonna live forever and ever and ever. And you're Mr. Milligan? Well, it turns out he's just young enough to die. I mean, think about it. It's the holidays, there's a sweet little kid involved. Can't you just feel it?
I did feel it. And I knew what Carl was going to say before she said it.
Mr. Milligan is unconscious.
In this situation, I'm assuming he probably doesn't just have mono and something worse is going on. Cox is talking about these superstitions that we tend to have in medicine, and it's true. This stuff is true. You never say the Q word in the hospital. You just don't say it. There's a lot, but A, knowing how medicine tends to be in the hospital, and B, knowing how the show goes, I'm concerned about him.
Hey, Elliot, would you keep an eye on Tyler here while we take care of his dad?
Hi! Yeah, I'm not that great with kids. They've got such tiny hands. It's creepy.
I'm leaving now.
Yeah, Elliot's just gonna have to deal with it, isn't she? But really, they're asking another doctor to babysit the kid? Usually there are social workers in hospitals, and I think that is probably the person to ask to help with the kids while there's a major medical problem going on with the parent.
Damn, his cultures are back. He's not septic.
Well, let's start him on dopamine.
Already done.
Well, let's scan his head.
I already ordered
Well,
it.
I'd definitely give Mrs. Cross her teeth back.
That I will not do!
Hey, JD. Turns out Mr. Milligan doesn't have insurance. Dr. Kelso said once he's stable, we have to bounce him to county. Sorry.
Is that a legal thing to do? I don't think that's a legal thing for hospitals to do.
Think of your best moment in medicine.
I said I can't do it on my own.
Excuse me, sir. A man just fainted over there. Are you a doctor?
Not this weekend, son. Another Bahama mama, please. Easy on the Bahama, heavy on the mama. How you doing?
You know, actually, it is really ethical of him to say no in that situation because I'm pretty sure he was drinking a lot. And you definitely should not be practicing medicine if you're drunk.
Oh, God.
Dr. Reed, could you sign this for me, please?
Sure. So, what are you doing this weekend, Laverne?
Did she even check what she was signing? Oh my goodness.
Think of your best moment in medicine.
A little club soda, we'll take that right out.
Thanks, Carla.
You're welcome, Doctor.
Ella, let's go
going on up there?
I'm sorry, I was just thinking about the last time a doctor actually listened to me. Sometimes I feel
Did you get
like
the results of the scan?
They came back negative. I feel like we're missing something in his patient history.
when he came in, Mr. Milligan said that he and his son had been wrestling and goofing around.
Oh my God, he just might have goof-arounditis.
We should also check him for the silly willies.
It is incredibly important to listen to our nurses. I've definitely said this in other videos, but here's the thing. Nurses spend all of this time with these patients. They are on the floor, essentially on the front lines with our patients. And so they hear so much more than we will hear when we go to see the patient for a few minutes at a time when we're rounding. So it is incredibly important to pay attention to what the nurses have to say. I know Scrubs tends to take stereotypes to the extremes in these kind of situations. This is one of those situations.
Anytime a doctor disrespects me, I respond with a little note. Worth it.
That is intense, and also he probably has some TMJ inflammation now.
Are you swanning this guy? Look, I really don't need you checking up on me every 5 seconds, okay? I'm a doctor, and I have as much medical expertise as anyone in this place. Now, what exactly swanning? What? I'm kidding. Enough of the backseat doctoring. I got this. Why does it seem like every time I take a stand, everything turns to crap?
I gave that kid some money and sent him outside the hospital, and now I can't find him.
I'm sorry, what?
Kelso said no insurance, you gotta stabilize the guy and then bounce him.
You gotta be kidding me.
I'll tell you what, in about 10 more minutes, none of this is gonna matter because this guy's circling the drain.
Are you sick?
I don't know why this is a thing, but a lot of times it seems like when things start going bad, they just keep going from bad to worse to worse. Like things just keep piling on top of each other. And clearly this patient and his doctors are experiencing that here too.
You know what? I wonder if Mr. Milligan could receive any blunt trauma without realizing it.
Wrestling. Remember, he said his kid dropped him with a power kick.
Kids can kick pretty hard. Maybe he ruptured his spleen.
Get a stat abdominal CT. Great catch there, Carla.
Thank you.
Is this her best moment in medicine now? So this guy definitely still has mono. And when you have mono, oftentimes the spleen can get enlarged. With that comes a higher likelihood of rupturing the spleen because of blunt abdominal trauma. And that's probably what has happened here. This poor guy is going to bleed to death if they don't do something about it quickly.
Think of your best moment in medicine.
You can do this, Dr. Turk.
Well, it's official. Dr. Turk is now the fastest appendectomy in the hospital.
In your face, Dr. Beardface.
It's beard for say.
Did he just pull an appendix out of a patient and run it out of the OR and slap it into the attending's ungloved hand? Gross.
I got gummed.
Come on, it turns out Mr. Milligan has a ruptured spleen. We're prepping him for surgery in room C.
That's the room where the family gets to observe.
So?
Dude, you don't understand. When I operate, I don't see a person. I see a machine with parts that need to be replaced and circuits that need to be rewired.
So you think you're a robot mechanic?
As a surgeon, the more detached I am, the more focused I am. And it's pretty impossible to feel focused or detached when this guy's family's watching every move I make.
Well, I wouldn't worry about that. Mr. Milligan only has a son, and Elliot lost him.
Awesome!
In this situation, that's how Turk operates. He detaches the idea of the person from the person that he's operating on. Is that right? I don't know, but I think it's a defense mechanism for a lot of healthcare providers.
Sorry. I got scared. When I get scared, I hide. I know it's stupid.
It's not stupid. You want to know where I used to hide when I used to get scared? This closet right here. And the one on the second floor. Oh, and there's also this broken MRI machine down in the basement. It's like my own private cocoon.
You really got scared?
Yeah. Everybody does here at first.
Everyone gets scared and sad and lonely and insert difficult emotion here in the hospital, especially at first before you learn anything about being able to deal with it. I don't think I ever found a place to hide alone in the hospital. I think I just kind of dealt with it in the car on my way home, crying a little bit.
All right, let's do this.
on.
It's harder emotionally knowing that someone in the family is watching you. It just is. I think when you know you're being watched by someone who cares very deeply about the person that you're working on, it makes it mentally harder because you're thinking about how they're perceiving what's happening. Whether or not you're doing the right thing medically, I think a big part of it is how the family member is perceiving what's happening, and you're trying to handle their emotions while also trying to do your job appropriately.
Think of your best moment in medicine.
Come here. Here you go. Here you go. Like to see anybody else make that shot.
Huh? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
I think of all the moments in medicine, that might have been the best one in this show right now.
He figured out that spleen thing. Maybe you should get off his case.
I would love to get off of his case. In fact, nothing would make me happier than to watch him walk into a patient's room and not feel that I have to run in after him and check up on everything.
You want to know what I think?
No.
I think you know how good a Dr. JD is, and whether you admit it or not, you have a great personal stake in his future. So don't pretend for 1 second that all this attention you throw at him is just for him, because it's also for you. As your friend, I'm telling you that if you want him to keep growing, you ought to back off of him once in a while.
Carla.
And don't say anything, because you know I'm right and my jeans do look good.
Dr. Cox really, really does have a heart of gold under his incredibly thick and tough exterior. He loves JD. We all know he loves JD. And yeah, JD's a great doctor. And I think that's in big part due to Dr. Cox, because Dr. Cox is also a wonderful doctor with some questionable bedside manner sometimes.
Hey, Elliot? Can I talk to you in private?
Parlez-vous français?
You know, I did learn a little when my high school class went to France, but that was just stuff to pick up chicks.
Kurt, je crois que Tyler se sentirait mieux s'il pouvait observer l'opération, d'accord?
Je te défais pantalon.
I don't think that's enough French to get him by. I can definitely understand why Elliot might think that it's better for Tyler, the patient's son, to watch the surgery. I don't know that that is necessarily the best idea. Things can go really wrong in surgeries, especially in a surgery where someone's spleen has ruptured and they're trying to mitigate the damage. And if this patient starts crashing and they have to do CPR and all this stuff, that is going to be incredibly traumatizing for this child to have watched. If this patient dies, oh my gosh, the trauma that this kiddo will have to deal with. It's just a lot, and I think it's probably safer for everybody, for the patient's family, in this case, the son, to not be watching the surgery.
None of us wanted to say what we were thinking, how vulnerable we felt. So we all just stood around, pretended to work, and waited for someone to come through that door and tell us how this was going to end.
How backwards is that? That the family is watching and knows real time what's happening with the patient, and the other doctors are standing around waiting.
Who's the man?
All right, you guys, we still got a lot of work to do. Turf, why don't you go check the post-op films and radiology, and Carla, we'll transfuse back to a hemoglobin of 10, and Elliot, why don't you take Tyler and go get us all ice cream immediately? I'm gonna go check on him. You wanna come?
No, you got it.
I love that. Cox is definitely giving JD a little bit more of the reins, meaning he listened to Carla, which is even better. Oh my goodness. I love episodes like this. They start happy, they get a little questionable in the middle, and then they end happy.
My best moment. Well, there was this guy.
He had the most amazing little kid. And the doctors actually listened to me.
I knocked the surgery right out the park.
And I decided to pull some strings for the guy.
And honest to God, I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it myself, but Newbie handled the whole thing. Wire to wire.
That is a wonderful moment in medicine. Whoever recommended this episode, thank you so much. It was absolutely wonderful. I genuinely enjoyed this episode. It started happy, got a little bit turbulent there in the middle, like I said, and ended happy, and it was just wrapped up in a nice, neat little bow for the holidays. I love it. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel. It really helps the girl out. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Jess the MD. I really enjoyed spending time with you. I hope you enjoyed spending time with me, and I will see you in the very next one. Bye.